Hi and welcome. I'm just so happy for you to be here, Nicole, and for people to get to know about you and about your business and your special sauce and all the things that you do with your coaching, your gardening coaching, and all of it. So let's start by having you share a little bit about what you do and your magic.
I'm Nicole Goldman and I'm a garden coach and designer. My business is SB Garden Project, located in Santa Barbara, but serving kind of like up and down the Central Coast. And I am really passionate about teaching people how to learn how to grow their own food. So I coach clients, and then I also offer maintenance for families who really want that garden, but they're kind of strapped for time, and they just need a little bit more hands-on, kind of consistent support throughout the growing season.
Yeah. And you actually have a teacher background, which is really cool
Mhm.
because you know how to like break things down to teach people about gardening, which is awesome. So tell me a little bit about your journey and like basically where you started when we first kind of connected, because I know we had connected through Jenny's Centerline community and I had spoken for you guys. And I remember I think you were like in your first year of business. So like you were still testing out a lot of things. But yeah, where were you when you first started in your business as far as like your focus and your goals and things like that?
So I had gone through a garden consultant certification program that was like 12 weeks, and I went through a little cohort and learned her model. And it was really just kind of bare bones stuff, it was 5 minutes spent on marketing and sales, and just like, we were released tadpoles into the water, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I was in that first year going off of minimal childcare. So I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I had minimal time to like not know what I was doing.
Yeah,
And
you had like 1 or
so,
2 days or something, right?
yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was like three, like part-time days. And then, yeah, I guess almost exactly a year later, I think I actually saw um, the, what do you call the
Oh,
night out
ambition
event?
after hours.
Yeah, Ambition After Hours. I saw that pop up because a friend of mine attended, a few of my friends attended. I was like, "Oh, what's this thing?" And then you came to speak to Centerline, and then yeah, my ears like really perked up. I was like, "Oh, I'm attending this thing." And it was I had my son with me that day, so we were at the Moxie, and I like had you in my ears, and I was chasing him around Moxie, and I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing, but I was like, I need to rewatch or like watch the recording of this. And then you offered us a call, and I like of course hopped onto the call. And so yeah, like before I started working with you, it was just like, I don't know what I don't know, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know where to spend my time and energy.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's really common. And, a lot of times we get into a industry because we have a passion for it. And maybe we are really good. Like I know you are really good with gardening, but we don't always learn the business side. And especially it's like even if you have had training and certification in whatever your craft is, a lot of times it doesn't come with the business training. And you had been proactive. I remember when we had our first call, you were saying that you were already working with another business coach. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
like, what made you interested in working with me and with joining the group when you already had some support? Like, what was that differentiation for you?
Yeah, so in Santa or like in the Central Coast, we have Weave, which is Women's Economic Ventures, and they're a nonprofit, and they support female business owners, small business owners. And so I reached out to them because like throughout the whole time I've been so desperate for coaching. I was like, I know I need support. Um, and so I reached out through them, and it was kind of like we meet twice a month, and I'm still meeting with her,
Hmm.
but it's just whatever kind of comes up. Like there's no, here's the goal, um, and like a like a drive, and uh yeah, like I don't know, yeah, how else to describe it, but that just like it's like check-ins each
Mhm.
month. And she is still very helpful, but I feel like I have her for certain things to just kind of like, yeah, be my thought partner versus you. It's like, okay, let's get down to business. Like, let's accomplish this thing. And so it is, yeah, I feel like I get so much more. I meet with her more often, I guess, one on one, but I feel like I accomplish more with you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I make more progress towards my goals versus like with her, it's just kind of like checking things off a list. Like, did we do this? Did we do this?
Right. Yeah. And I think, I mean, that goes to say there is a lot of stuff in business that there are different business coaches that specialize in different things. And you have done such a good job at just being very willing to do the work and to ask good questions and really utilize the support in the magnetic success group as far as being able to share like, hey, this is my focus. Okay, I did these resources and now I want to try actually implementing these things. Can you look this over? Can you look at my outreach? Okay, now how do I respond to this person? Like, you're so good about just being in there every week, asking questions and getting feedback and moving things forward. And so I think it's a testament, like, yes, of course, I'm happy to say that like I'm the reason you move things forward, but it's also just like your attitude of how you're going about this and the way that you are, focusing your energy and on your follow through and making sure that you're sharing things with me so that I can be asking you about them. So it like helps with that accountability and follow through and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I really appreciate like it just it feels really good when you do accountability checks with us because it's like, oh, somebody's paying attention, like they care about what's going on with my business and they're paying attention. And oh yeah, like am I doing the thing that I said that I was gonna do?
Yeah, and it's so easy, I think, in business to get distracted with like, oh, all the marketing tactics and all this and all that. And so part of the work is helping just narrow down our focus to say, yes, you can do all of it, but not at the same time. And right now, what is your highest leverage move is X. So let's focus on doing that. Like just what we talked about kind of before this, even with your different events, you have a bunch of really great events coming up this next month. And so really just focusing in on like, this is the one you want to put more time and energy into because it's probably going to be more of your ideal clients there, right? So one other question I wanted to ask around just when you started, I remember there was a little hesitation just around timing and investment because, yeah, you were still in that first year in business. You weren't quite sure. There wasn't predictability in your monthly income. And I think this is really, really common for people in business, when they haven't ever worked with a coach before or done any of this before. It can be like, oh, that is, I don't know if I have the time for that. Where am I going to fit the time in? I mean, you only had 2 days of childcare, right? Like partial days. And same thing with investment. You're like, well, I'm not really making the money that I want to be making yet. So maybe I should wait until I'm making more before I invest in support. So I'm curious because I think this will be helpful for other people who are in your place, were in the same place that, or they're in the same place that you were then. What was the thing that really helped you make that shift to be like, I'm going to just pull the trigger and do the dang thing?
Well, I like abruptly left teaching. So there wasn't like, hey, let's have some monetary cushion before I decide to just completely leave, my career for the past 10 years. And so yeah, there was that financial stress. And then my partner is more conservative in a lot of different ways. And like, yeah, financially, he does not have the mind. I mean, he's not a small business owner and so doesn't have that. I mean, yeah, he's just doesn't have that same like risk assessment. And so it was, I knew like after talking to you, even before, I knew that like in the end, like, yeah, I'm spending the money now, but I know I'm going to make it back. And I know that it's an investment, that it wasn't going to be, yeah, money lost. And like, I guess because I was so desperate at the beginning in, receiving coaching, like I have, we mentioned my other coach and then, but that was a lot less. And I guess it is like you get what you pay for.
Mhm.
And then, I'm in another group coaching container, but like same thing. It was less. I didn't get what I thought I was getting, and just like from the call that you did with Centerline with us, and then in the initial call with you, like I knew that like I could tell like you were serious and that this was going to be really beneficial for me. And that, yeah, like if I hadn't done it, that I would have, how much time and money would, how much would I would have, how much would I have wasted?
How much
Um,
wood would a woodchuck
yeah.
chuck?
Wasted. And I just knew that, yeah, like working with you was just going to accelerate me to getting to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we definitely saw that too. So, the next thing I kind of want to bring up is what has shifted with you since we first started working together, over the last, what has it been, like 5 months or something? Like what do you feel like has shifted for you the most in, let's start with just like your business.
Definitely the confidence level going into conversations with clients, going into sales conversations,
I
a
remember
lot
you
more.
said too, like your husband overheard you
Oh
and was
yeah.
like, wow, you sounded really so much more confident. I
Yeah,
love
because
that.
he works from home, and so he heard me on my call. Yeah, that was really nice to hear. And yeah, just like I feel very grounded in the conversation, and it is still like something that I'm working on, but I do feel like from where I started at, like I can tell how my confidence has grown. And then also my systems, yeah, like my back end systems. Again, still working on it because I'm just in my first year and a half of business, but like I know the systems that I need, and I'm through working with you, like I have my lead tracker system. I have the like event debrief form to like reflect on those things, and just yeah, like all these systems and like business routines that I've implemented, that or even like our income, generating actions, like making sure that I'm doing those things each week,
Mhm.
and keeping myself accountable. So yeah, like definitely my back end systems are like a thing when they weren't a thing before working with you.
Yeah. And you did a really good job too around just, I think, like actually taking the data, like writing things down and crunching numbers. And like a lot of people sometimes, like you're just winging it in your business and you're like, oh, I have a good month, I have a bad month, but you don't really know like why. And you did a really great job around starting to pay attention to, where are most of my leads coming in? Oh, it looks like it's a lot from Instagram. Great. Let's actually get better at that skill of connecting with people in the DMs and, using the resources from the group around how to then bring them into a sales call. And what I love that we did with you was shortening the process from when you have that first initial touch point with someone who expresses interest, to then getting them on a call, to then getting them in the in-person consultation, right? Whereas before, sometimes it would take like months and months. And then we were like, all right, no, like we got to get you that faster turnaround, faster response time, knowing who is kind of like in that pipeline and making sure that those people are top of mind. And you did a really good job at doing that. And I remember at one point in one of the calls, you had shared that, I think it was like, yeah, you realized that you had been doing all of these very specific, like high leverage moves, kind of the income generating tasks in your business, and you didn't have to block out extra time for it, which tells me that's amazing because you've built it into now your regular day to day, right? Is like, that those are your core actions that are going to keep your business running, right? And that is really what is important as you're like building out scalability and like growth in your business, is like, that you have routine around the most important things. And those happen before you have time to like play around with the shiny object. Oh, I could do this or I could do this. But it's like, that you do the core things first. And
Mhm.
then we look at how much extra time and capacity you have for other things.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what do you feel like has been the most unique about the way that I coach or the way that I kind of held you through this process, especially knowing that like you've been in other coaching programs or you've hired other coaches to do like one-on-one stuff. What would you say that I do that's different or that's different about like the Magnetic Success group?
Your level of investment in us and our success and our well-being. Um, and yeah, it's just like you are I feel, and I know that the other women do too, like you are very much in our corner. And I just didn't expect that. Yeah, coming into the coaching, it's like you're there and you care about us. And then just, yeah, like the level of service that you provide to us. And like you really do stick to your timelines. Like you say that, if we post something in Slack, you're going to get to us within, I think, 12 to 24 hours. And I'm always like surprised how well you stick. Like, no matter how much information I give you, you stick to that or you articulate, if you go 48 hours, which is still like so wonderful within my timeline, you articulate like why that was the case. So I really appreciate that. And I know you say it's because like you don't want to leave us hanging, and you realize that like your response to us is like going to help us move forward. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, just the level of support like that. That's why I'm in the in Slack so much, because I know that you're going to support me, so I can ask you with anything. And I think you made us like in the very first group coaching call, you said something about asking questions. We talked about asking questions and the discomfort around that, and you really encouraged us to ask questions. And so, yeah, I think like just yeah, like I think maybe without that, I might not have asked all the questions that I did. But you're like, there's no question, that you shouldn't ask. Like, feel free to ask me whatever is on your mind about your business, and I can support you in working through it.
Yeah, and I think it like business and life stuff and just knowing that like we don't always separate them. Like with motherhood or if other stuff is coming up, like we got to be aware of how they might be impacting your capacity and things like that. And I did this just made me think too is like I wanted to highlight a little more of like what were the most like the tangible things that you felt like you were able to really implement in your business because of the work that we've done together. Like I'm just thinking top of mind, you did a really good job at doing a lot of planting seeds to do outreaches and collaborations and things like that, and you landed some really good connections with really great places around Santa Barbara to do collaborations with that is essentially like spotlighting you in front of your ideal client. Different places that a lot of people that I know in the coaching, just from my clients, have worked really hard to get into, and you were able to do that. So, what are the things, whether it's like around, different opportunities that you have been able to put in place for yourself, or clients that you've landed, or yeah, like the tangible things that you feel like you are most proud about in your business?
Yeah. Well, like you and I were just talking before this call about the month of April for me. And like it's getting to the point with collaborations that so many people are coming to me. Like it's not just me like doing my extensive research and finding like who those yeah, collaborators who are aligned, values wise and just like business wise, and, where our ideal clients are hanging out. Like now people are coming to me and asking
You're
me if I
magnetic.
want, yes.
Yeah.
And so you and I were talking about, yeah, like what to say, not overwhelming myself, and how to be strategic about how I'm showing up and just, um, yeah, in those collaborations. But the other thing I hadn't worked through the numbers, and just went back, into, yeah, my metrics for the last 6 months or for the past year, I guess. And for the 4 months working with you, I had nine. So a client always starts with a free intro call with me, and then after that, if they want to continue, then we do a 1 hour in person paid consultation. So I had 9 paid consultations in 4 months. And then the 6 months before, or the 4 months before that, sorry, I only had 3 initial consults. So that was not
Nice.
working with you.
Yeah. So you
Um,
3x'd your paid
yeah,
consults. Yeah.
yeah.
And then a
And
lot of those like
then,
signed in to become some sort of client, right?
yeah,
Me or yeah,
yeah,
coaching. Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
And then, what else? So I mentioned the lead tracker, yeah, form, Google Sheet that you created for us that I've been using. And yeah, like I never would have thought to do that before starting to work with you. And I was looking at, I mean, I need to clean it up, and like move people to current clients and people
Mhm.
off the list. But there are like 40 people, who I've been in contact with for the past couple months, or I guess since starting to work with you. And so it's really nice to be able to be like, oh, I have this upcoming workshop. Like I think this would be perfect for this person because she and I have been chatting in the DMs and I know that she really wants this. And so this workshop, would appeal to her. Um, and then yeah, also just keeping track of like potential collaborations on that sheet. So I think there's like, and also same thing, like I need to move some of those off the list, but I think it was like 10 to 15 spots in town that were like my dream collaborations. So it's nice to, yeah, take it out of your head and have it on paper and see like, oh wow, like these are all the people I've been nurturing and trying to convert into clients.
And I just want to speak to like when we first started working together and you're like, where do I even find more people, more clients,
Yeah.
more leads? Right. And then you had this like aha moment where you're like, oh, so, like I told you guys, I was like, social media is for being social, which means you got to connect with people and say hello and ask questions. And you're like, and then suddenly you were
Yeah.
like a freaking, all over the DMs and like not just being like spammy, but like actually asking questions and creating relationships. And now you have like strong leads that are warm that like you just said, like you can kind of invite them to certain things and be nurturing them in a way. And you have people, right? You have a list, which is huge. So that as you're starting to promote these different things that we kind of talked about with this next phase of your business. And if you were doing group coaching and all these things, for you to be launching something like, oh, you now have a list that you can be reaching out to and you know what to say. You have the scripts, you have the wherewithal of like what to do and all of that. So, um, was there anything, would you say, that like really surprised you about the work that we did together or the group or something that you didn't expect to be as impactful as it was that really helped you in, reaching your goal of just having a better sense of where to focus your time in business and being able to get more leads and sign more clients and bring in more revenue?
Yeah, it's a social media thing because the way it happened was, so I mentioned, I have other coaches and I'm in a group coaching container for just garden coaches and they're all across the country. And, one of the women who leads it said something about, greeting our, new followers. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then somebody in our previous group coach with you or group coaching, you advised her to do that. And I was like, wait a minute, China's saying to do this? And then I like hopped into the conversation and I was like, wait, what? Tell me more. And then you said the social media, like it's supposed to be social. And it's so funny, like how much an interaction with a woman I have a discovery or yeah, we have an initial call next week. She said it was surprising for people like your followers when you start engaging with them and you're like authentic and real and genuine. They're like, wow, I'm not on social media in this way. And she did comment and said, like, you started talking to me and you were so nice and genuine. And so now she comes to my workshops, like my paid and my free workshops. We have the discovery call. And so I so dreaded social media before that. I wasn't on Instagram. Like I had a personal account that I never used and I didn't know how to, marketing messages. I didn't know how to edit my videos. I didn't know how to work Instagram. And so just having real conversations with real people in the DMs was like, oh, this is actually enjoyable. And like following them, like I never, one of my, I think that's the same woman who said, like, greet your followers also doesn't follow her followers. And she's like, oh no. Like that would muddy up your algorithm. I was like, what? Who cares about my algorithm? Like I'm here for like them and it doesn't matter who I'm following. And by me following them, I'm able to like
See
that's a
their
touch point.
stories and connect with them
Yeah.
more. And it's like creating more of a relationship versus like I'm me doing my business and like sharing all my stuff, but we're not going to connect. Yeah. So you did such a great job at that. And I think that's one of the reasons you were able to, having 2 days of partial childcare a week and being like basically so much time being spent being a mom with your kiddo and like, you could find the time in the pockets of like, oh my gosh, your kid is, remember you told me my kid is literally napping on me right now and I can just like bust out some DM stuff. Like that is so amazing that you can do that and like not feel like it's taking away from anything or that you have to, carve out time and have your husband do the childcare for you to go do another event where you don't really connect with people. So I think that is huge. Yeah. Okay, the last question I have is just if you were, let's say, telling a friend about just your experience working with me as a coach or being part of the Magnetic Success group, what would you say about the experience and the results that you got?
Well, I always rave about you to like anybody who I know is a female entrepreneur, small business owner. And I'm like, oh, I'm working with China. And if they, yeah, show any interest in like, because they do, people ask me, they're like, can you tell me about you working with China? And so then I start to rave about you. But it's just what I said earlier about like how you're truly invested in us and like you are in our corner and like you can ask or we can ask whatever question and you'll support us and just yeah, what I said earlier about like before I had or yeah, it stands out in my mind. It was right before Thanksgiving and I had a day of childcare and I didn't know how to spend it and I messaged you and you're like, okay, you need to do this or maybe it was just like one thing, but you need to do this thing. And like, that's just like, that's amazing to be able to have that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
awesome. Well, it is my pleasure, and I'm just like so grateful to have you in the group and to have you coming into this next group and re-signing and staying with me. And it's like so fun too, I would say, because the more that I get to know your business, and it's like I know your patterns, I know who your clients are, who your ideal clients are. It's like the more that we can kind of it's like we're masterminding around your business and thought partners to be like, oh, what about this? And it's like I can share these fun, creative ideas where we kind of think like, okay, big picture vision, this is where we're going. And it's like, now this is exactly what you need to focus on. And you're really good at the implementation and the follow through. So it's like I can just see so much for what's next for you. And I'm super excited about these next 6 months.
me too.
Well, thank you for your time and bye bye.